All right. Um, I might have a bit too many slides, so I'll go fast. I thought I had a bit more time to talk because it's a pretty big topic I'm going to talk about. It's about e-inclusion. The title is a digital evolution for a lot of people. For me, sorry. For me, I've been around technology since I was like 8 or 10 years old at Messenger, MSN Messenger, and the computer at home. But for some people, it's still a revolution. It's all very new to them. They don't know what's happening, and suddenly there's ChatGPT and AI, and they're going to be like, "Wow, it's so fast, everything." So we're going to talk about how we can make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, right? So I'm going to have a quick introduction on what e-inclusion is, then the current state in Belgium, some strategies, how to solve it, and then a few case studies in a conclusion. So this is the best definition I found, because there's a lot of definitions out there, and but because it's such a big topic, inclusion is a concept of ensuring that everyone has equal access to technology and can use it to participate actively in society. Now, I think that's pretty concise. Now, why and how is it important? Society is digitalizing rapidly. Even governments, if you want to get your driver's license nowadays, it's all online. If you want an allowance, if you're unemployed, it's online. So it's for us very important that everybody stays on board. Also, it will become mandatory. You have the European Accessibility Act, WCAG, for example. It's going to be mandatory for government institutions and any company that has 50% participation by the government. So it's really important, and I think private companies are going to have to follow later on too. Education is a basic human right imposed by the UN, and these days, since Corona also, they're all on smart school. It's all with a computer. So if you don't have a computer at home, you're basically beeped. And why is it good for digital agencies like us? It's your product. If you work towards it, your product is going to be more easy to use. It's going to be more simple. And maybe you'll have more users. You might have more impact. So and there's actually a lot more, but I had to cut some slides. Now, I want to ask a quick question. Who here has a smartphone? Okay, everyone. Who has a internet connection at home? Now, believe it or not, but there is still 7% of Belgian households who don't have internet access at home. Nothing. So only maybe mobile, on their mobile, but most of the times it's prepaid. So that doesn't last very long these days with all the data we're using. It's insane. Like if you go on Instagram or on anything, it just uses so much data. So a lot of these families, it doesn't last long. Then 39% of Belgians have weak digital skills, so that means they're just not comfortable or confident using technology. And then 46% of Belgians, they're vulnerable. That means they're susceptible for phishing, for internet fraud, all that. It's very easy nowadays to get trapped. These are numbers from 2022 by the King Baudouin Foundation. Look it up. It's really, really interesting what they have to say. Now, so who's a designer here? Not everybody, I assume. Usually when we're designing, we think of if you're talking about e-inclusion, but those are the laggards. It's a small percentage. You see it there. This is the Gauss curve. I don't know. Yeah, Gauss curve. Technology adoption life cycle. And we always think it's about this part, but actually, if you look at the numbers, we're like a bit more than half. So the early majority. And so that's way more than we actually think. And that's also a bit of my goal today, is to reframe your reality or recalibrate the reality that we might have, and myself included. I sometimes also think, oh yeah, everybody knows this. It's me. Simple to use, but it's actually not. Why are people vulnerable, or why are these people vulnerable? They have anxiety. They don't know what it is, and it's just fear and feeling unsafe. They never learned it. They never used it like I did, for example. They never grew up with a phone or with a computer. Sometimes it's just fear of failing. Like you failed once. I once deleted all the photos from our photo camera after a holiday, but I learned to keep going. But that was scary because my dad was like, "Fuck yeah." And it's all going really, really fast. It's really, really fast, especially with AI nowadays. It's hard to keep up. Then 1 out of 7 Belgians is low literate. What does that mean? That mean they can hardly read a book. They have trouble reading signs for the buses, like the timetables for the buses, for example. It could be also difficulty with Dutch. If you have a website or a digital task that you have to follow and they're in Dutch and you don't speak Dutch very well, that's hard. Does have nothing to do with how digital literate you are, with your digital skills. Then also we have people that don't have a computer at work. So the poor digital environment. Usually the people in their network also don't have a computer, right? And then limited budget. If you have a limited budget, digital and environmental for that matter, it's the last thing you think about. And nowadays with an education that pushes, you need a computer for your kids, that's a big chunk of your budget. So that's why these people are vulnerable to, lagging and running behind, not being on board. I have a few quotes. I'm not going to go through them, but we usually think it's old people. That's not true. You see, Hatris is 35 years old. This comes out of interviews we've done with clients like Fable, Finn, with people with Samo that are here in the room too. You can talk to them. They have the green jersey. So it's not only old people, it's pretty crazy. People that have to take a bus for 40 minutes just to get to the bank because they're they don't feel safe to do online banking. What are the big issues? Banks close their offices. Telecom services also close their offices. Even the governments, they don't open that much anymore. A lot of things are online. Then long customer waiting lines. You're on the phone, and then suddenly your prepaid card runs out because you're waiting for 40 minutes in the online queue or in the phone queue. Apps are changing really fast. My device, I just got a new iPhone from icapps, but last year I had an iPhone 7 and it was out of date. Still a good phone, but it was not supported by apps anymore. So, internet is really expensive in Belgium, especially 30% more expensive than our neighboring countries. Awesome. Difficult language and terminology. Also, government language can be difficult. Too much IT terminology. Anyway. All these problems you can trim down to like 4 pillars, and that's how I'm gonna structure my solutions. So you have the infrastructure, getting affordable internet and devices, skills, training people to learn how to use apps or platforms, a support network. So I'm the guy that solves all the issues in my family. Oh yeah, Sebastian, the IT guy, can you install It's Me for her or for him? Yeah, okay, sure. But not everybody has that, So that's one thing. And then you have inclusion by design, and that's, I think, for most people here, the most interesting topic. All right, strategies to solve all these issues. And I mean, solve these as an agency. If you're an agency, I assume, and this might be interesting. Refurbish old devices. Like if you have people leaving your your company, they give back their computer, and sometimes it just lays there. You can refurbish them. There's 4 nice organizations here that do this for you. Some, they give it back to schools, so they overwrite all your data with zeros, so you don't have any issue with data, and they bring it back into society. And a smart world, for example, you can even sell them to them and you get money back. So there's so many initiatives that you can go through to get your devices refurbished. You don't have to do it yourself, and that way these devices get used. It's pretty easy for us to do, I think, especially if you're a big company. Then promoting digital literacy and skill development. What you could do is give trainings. We recently did a training with Samo. They were checking how they can use green screens to give people who are scared an immersive experience, or use a VR glasses. And we gave them some good tips and tricks to how they can do it without a lot of money, or what they could do to project these little things. So we just share tips and tricks, and it's so awesome. You learn from them, they learn from us, and it's that synergy that you need, to help people learn about digital. You can also go volunteering with them, of course. I skipped that slide. You see here the COVID Safe app. Yes, we're guilty. We built this icapps. We did it. But we recently learned that there was a lot of issues with that people had trouble, not a lot, but that people still had trouble using it. And we thought it was a pretty simple app. So what you can do is give product demonstrations. So go to these midfield organizations like Samo, and I'll show a few more later. And just, explain how it works, gather some information from them, say what you're doing with their data, so they don't have to be scared, that kind of stuff. And you'll get way more traction. There's a lot of communities out there that you can talk to, and if they start talking that your product is good, it will get more users anyway. So, Then creating a support network, that's probably the most challenging issue out there, but that's why you have great midfield organizations, we call it. Outreach programs that help people and help them solve digital issues anyway. So as an agency, you can't do much, except you can learn what they do, talk about these initiatives, talk about them with your friends, family, colleagues, and I'll give you a little list here. So you have there a list of digital help you can find. So seniors can find help there. You can have MediaWest. You find so much information, but then you have little organizations that you can just usually walk into and ask a question. Look, I can't install It's Me. I can't install Belfuse. Can you help me out? And so these are a list of organizations that can help you with that. So governments do a lot to tackle this as well. So learn them by heart, see what they do, and talk about these organizations like Samo. So this is DigiBanken, they call it. I don't know how it's in Dutch, in English, sorry. Or midfield organizations. So we have a lot in Flanders, and you can find a lot of information there. And then inclusion by design. I would say if you want to be inclusive on e-inclusion, you have to start by designing your organization. Maybe if you're not a designer, you don't have that power. But if you are a manager, make sure you start by hiring inclusively. Get a diverse team so you get multiple perspectives, people from different backgrounds. That's just the best way to start. Then there is a principle called Click, Call, Connect that I learned about in the last year. And it's pretty much, if you're doing service design, make sure the service you provide, you can click for information and just go on the website, find all frequently asked questions, videos, mail, chat, whatever. But also make sure people can call you, for example, that they don't have the long waiting lines, or that it's that the number you can call is free of charge, for example. That would be really nice. And then connect. Make sure there is physical offices they can walk into without an appointment, because usually an appointment you have to make online. So, so just make sure people can just walk in. That's important. Consider the impact of change. A lot of companies want to change. They want to go fast. It's like a race, but even if you're first, you're not winning, right? This is a facelift that happened by Belfius recently, and people come with so many questions like, oh, what happened here? Suddenly it's all different. And they just, they don't know what to do anymore. They don't have the confidence to figure it out. And then we also use, at icapps, we use a lot of, we have these personas. It's a poster. We're going to hand them out later too. You can use them when you're designing. You just use them to challenge your design. So persona, we would say, oh, can I use it if I have a broken arm, for example? Can I still use my app, or my portal, or my service, whatever? You can use them while testing your product or while writing user stories. Doesn't matter. You can use it all the time. It's just like a checklist. Like, have I thought about all these users or all these use cases? Mobile first. I can't exactly think of the number, but I think it was 29% of Belgians only have a mobile device, so not a computer at home. So that's still a big number. I gave here the example from Apple because they have really good accessibility features, so big buttons and easy to use things. I also have a video about that, but I don't think we have time, maybe later. And then I think it's a pretty easy one, but it's usability testing. We all do it, but try to do it with groups that are vulnerable, And the win-win is usually you give a gift to a participant. If you give like a cool blue voucher, then they get a bit of money for, buying something digitally. So yeah, you can design and test with extremes. It's pretty standard practice, I would say, for designers like us. But do it with groups that are not used to working with digital products. And then you get way more feedback. And that's what we're doing with Samo, for example. Some case studies, checking how much time I have. Still good? Okay, nice. I'm going pretty fast. So pretty interesting case study is the Zalando one. I don't know if you guys noticed. But it all started because of an allegation that that it was a racist organization. Well, not racist, but that they were photoshopping and retouching a lot of the photos. If you're not perfect enough, that's how it started in 2018. And they said, okay, let's do it totally opposite. Let's embrace inclusion, and they can never, give us allegations about this, because that was not their intention. It just sort of happened down the line. And I think it's pretty inspiring what they're doing. All the models, they're just such a diverse database of models. You have people without a leg, or people with pigment spots in their face, like normalizing diversity and just getting rid of the model situation that we have. So I think that's really, really nice. And it's still a pretty successful company, so it doesn't change how successful you are. It maybe even makes you more successful. These are the numbers that they published. So they measure their diversity, which is interesting. They have a very international group of employees, and then they also measure women, men, also women in leadership. So they're working towards a goal, of course. One day they want it to be 50-50, so it's all equal. And I think that's really, really nice. Overall share of internationals in leadership, they can still do some progress in the management part, but overall they're, they're just hiring a very diverse team. They also, within their company, they have these guilds, and a guild is just like a group of, like a community, like UX Beers would be a community or could be a community. And these are the communities that are based on diversity or religion, or that people find them and find that they're working in a safe place. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Then Bigo. It's a small company in Antwerp, and they provide a service online that you can you can go online and order a student, pretty much, that goes to your home and helps you, install apps that you need, or if you have a question. So they check these students, and they're usually students with an IT background who are good at explaining things. They really hire on that. They also get points from their college if they. So you have all the colleges that support this initiative, so they can. It's not only in their free time, they can also actually earn points for their degree. And the plus is they get money for it too. So it's like a win-win-win. And they all visit you by bike. They don't use the car. So I think that's pretty cool too. Anything else that I have to say about this? I don't think so. Then Cyber Simple. Anyone heard about this? I looked it up, and I was, I think, half an hour to an hour on their website. It's like a game designed by Google and Testaankoop about cybersecurity, passwords, about safety online, and it starts by a questionnaire to check how literate you are in digital, and it's so amazing. Like, I thought I learned, like I knew a lot about cybersecurity, but there's so much more to learn still. The first question was, how many passwords were stolen by space pirates, they called, in recent years? I thought it was 4 million, it was 4 billion. And yeah, so it's a really interactive game. They learn you, or they teach you how to set up a password, for example, like a safe password. And it was like, you're just following their instructions, and then suddenly you have like this massive password, and like, this is how you can remember it. And, they talk about password wallets and all that. So it's really, really interesting. Step-by-step educational game. And I think these initiatives are really, really cool to, support that skill development. Also for younger people, because you would think it's only old people that can install something. But for example, younger generation is really good at TikTok, but installing it to me is super difficult. So, those e-admin tasks are really, really difficult for a lot of young people. And I think this is just a good example. This is their game, like teach you how to, if you use It's Me, that you have like this shape that you see on your screen, that you have to do that on your phone. That's just really funny things. Jumbo, I think a lot of people know this, but this is the Kletskasse. It's just also a win-win situation, because you're going to the grocery store quick after work, we're in the rat race, and then suddenly you have this old person that is talking to the cash register, and you're like, oh god, I have to go home. And Jumbo made this separate register just if you want to talk, if you have the feel that you need to talk, because for a lot of people this is their only outlet, and you get a cookie if you have to wait in line, and then the other ones, they can just go fast, and if you want to go quickly. So interesting to see that you can, this way you can learn about your customer, you can give them a safe place where they can talk about things. This is a quote from Dirk de Wachter, he's a psychiatrist from Belgium. And he says, well, a lot of old people might do this, but there's so many young people that feel alone as well. So make sure we also have to work on that. But he thought it was a good initiative. So, yeah. Pretty interesting stuff. And then PlayStation has a... Oh, sorry, that's Xbox. It has supposed to be Xbox. Damn it. Yeah. No, so I found out about, I'm going to say PlayStation now, that they had the assistive technology, and then after that I found out that Xbox actually did it way better. So that's why PlayStation was in there. So I only got American numbers. How many Americans are there in America? 300?
350 million.
Yeah, exactly. And 219 of them are gamers. And out of those 219 million, you have 40 million that are disabled, right? And so they launched this, it's like the controller, pretty much. At the same day, all the other stuff came out, right? So that's also already like a big plus for me if you do that. It's an adaptive controller. I'm going to show you on the next slide. So what it is you have all these little cords and you can attach your own, controllers on the side. So if you have limited movement, you can just have like a joystick that you just move like this, and you, instead of doing this, because that is really like a fine locomotive movement, and this way, people that have a disability that don't have that freedom, they can use it too, and they can enjoy playing a video game, because that's what it's about, isn't it? So I think that's a job well done for Xbox. And oh, really? I really want to try one. So I think that's just a great example. And I think we're coming to the conclusion now. First thing is, don't lose touch with reality. I think, I hope I made a point today that what we bias ourselves with the image of we are the average user, that's not true. So don't lose touch with reality. Keep, looking up these kind of numbers. Go to the Digibarometer, for example, or higher icapps. Start within your organization. Start by designing your own organization. Share knowledge and find a synergy with midfield organizations like Samo or like Avanza. It's just really interesting what these guys have to say, because they help people on a daily basis, and it's just inspiring to see what they're doing. Design good products. Don't try to be first. It's not a race. Just try to be good. And I think that's a good philosophy. It worked for Apple. So just don't try to be first. Do it good. And click, call, connect principle. I think that's a pretty good one, especially if you work for a big company like a telco industry type that has such a big reach. Then you just make sure you think about that. And of course, the reason why I became a designer was that I was frustrated with interfaces a lot. And for me, no interface is still the best interface. I want to automate a lot of things so I can have more time to, talk to people and have like a conversation where associative beings. So you learn from another in workshops. Nico, he gave me a good idea today. He just said something and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And you reply, that's how we work. It doesn't work behind the screen. So that's pretty much it, I think. Any questions? No questions?
Do you want to show your video? You've got time.
Oh yeah, if we got time, absolutely. I hope we have sound. There we go. Also, it's really cool if you design for accessibility, you can get more out of the technology you have. These iPhones, it's insane what technology they have in there, and we touch like the tip of the iceberg. So you'll see it here, of course. All right, that was it.
No, that's great. And I'm going to give a special shout out to one of your slides, because you don't have to be a designer to do it, but donate your old devices, because I know all y'all have old phones and tablets and laptops sitting around. Yeah. There's like 5 million phones sitting in Belgian households unused right now. 5 million. So turn those in. And then one thing that that just inspired me from this video is there's an app called Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes. It's basically a blind person or someone with visual impairments. If they need help, they will use the app, and it'll randomly call someone on the list, and you can help them. You can be their eyes, basically. So they'll point their phone at something, and then they'll be like, which one is the brown rice and which is the basmati rice? And you can help them pick things out at a grocery store or get dressed in the morning or whatever. But it's really great, and they especially need people who speak Dutch. He gets called all the time. I never get called.
You can sign up and then say what languages you speak. And basically, when a call comes in, a notification goes out to everyone, and the first one to click the notification is the one that helps.
Yeah.
It is also the only app that is allowed to send notifications on my phone. Which is the one.
So, other ways to help. But thanks so much, Sebastiaan. Let's take a 15-minute break and grab some pizza, and if it's still there, grab a drink, and again, the toilets are behind me, and I'll see you in 15.